Pacheco style, people come like, what is this? And then they go out of the class like, wow, this is so different, I can feel it.
What are your thoughts about sensual bachata?
I'm going to talk in my personal perspective.
I'm not gonna be that polite, okay?
Things have done for a little bit of money during COVID. Some will remain unnamed. What are the worst things that have happened to you? Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast, another episode at the Rasa Show. And I am super excited for this episode in particular because I have amazing guests. We have Raul and Carol here.
Yeah.
Now, they are dancing Bachata style Pacheco, and we're going to talk all about it because I'm sure some of you are wondering what it is. That's why they're here. I want to give you a little bit more diversity in Bachata so you would know a little bit more about it. But also, they're just the coolest people ever. I actually like these people, which is saying a lot. I am not a really warm person in general, but I actually like these people. So say hello to everybody.
Hello!
So which one's Raul, which one Carol?
Obviously, I'm Raul.
Carol.
Sometimes they call us Carol and Raul, even in shows. And I look at come on, it's Raul and Carol, not Carol and Raul. I know they want to present.
Do you care?
I mean, it's our brand, so that's why. But
in general, you wouldn't
No,
care.
I don't care who goes
I think
first.
it's because they say ladies first and they say Carol and Raul, but the brand is Raul.
We like stick to the brand.
Yeah.
We're trying to advertise ourselves to the brand. No, I get it. When did you actually decide and why to make your brand Bachata Pacheco style? How did that happen?
Well, we're gonna go like a lot of years later after we actually danced. I started to dance. We in Venezuela, we studied the style, so we learned the style with the developer, who is Edwin Franco, a Venezuelan guy who I will explain more later in the Pacheco style when we talk about. But basically, we arrived to the UK, so we found that there were so many different styles being taught in that moment when we arrived to the UK, and we were kind of like doing our own style, but a little bit fused or stuff. And then we say, hold on a minute, why are we doing this if we have a style that is actually has a structure, has very much founded on the Dominican roots, tradition, and everything. So let's do our thing. And then we say, okay, from 2019, we actually started to.
And it makes you unique.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody's thinking, okay, who do I book? You're the only ones in UK that we have in that particular style that specializes, which is very smart indeed. So since we started talking about the Pacheco style, what is it? Who's going to start explaining what is it actually? Because we know now Dominican roots.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Pacheco style started from the streets. It was like a dance that started in Venezuela with the Dominican, Colombian, and Venezuelan community all together. It was not a dance or style that was in dance schools. It came from people going to pubs, underground pubs, we call it like that, and clubs that only the people who were in that place, they could be able to dance in that way. The Pacheco style itself as a dance has the mixture of the merengue, but in a particular way, because some people say, but hold on a minute, merengue is always being in the bachata. We say, yes, but when you do the turn patterns of what we do, that should be done into the merengue timing, but that was transferred to the bachata timing. So that is where the thing changes. And then we kind of like go in between a little bit of both. So there are moments of when we're dancing that we switch to merengue timing and then we switch back to bachata. And so basically the Bachata Pacheco style has that mixture of that merengue pattern of the way how we used to dance merengue in Venezuela from the 80s.
So do you know if the Pacheco style exists in Dominican Republic?
No, it does not. However, it was taken from because when Venezuela's situation changed, some of the people fled the country that were already dancing Pacheco. And after it was developed as Pacheco style because before had kind of like a different names or stuff. But when it actually started like Pacheco style, because the transition from the street to the dance school is what makes the Pacheco style. Because on the streets was called first Bachata Venezuelan style or Bachata from the streets. And then the Pacheco style is actually the dance that is being like all things put together into a school a structure and make it familiar to people to actually learn how to dance it.
So if you dance Pacheco style and you go to Dominican Republic, can you still dance with the people there?
Yes.
Yes, not strictly the Pacheco, for example, the turns, because they are the most characteristic from the style, but you can dance bachata because it's coming from the bachata Dominican.
So you're
roots.
still using the basic steps of Dominican bachata, like the box steps, the forwards and backwards, no?
No.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, yes and no, because obviously we take it from the roots. But for example, the basic of the Pacheco is kind of the same basic from the diagonal from the Dominican, but we do in a line. So think about every step that we do in Pacheco, we need to try to keep the line. Okay. So we know how it's a Dominican, but it was developed in a different maybe directions.
Yes.
Okay. Our basic step is the Pacheco style, which is kind of the Dominican, but to the size, which is similar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you using the same music as Dominican bachata?
Yes.
Yes. And also we use as well, depending on the artist, some modern bachata.
Exactly.
When the music actually follows the structure of bachata, where you can listen clearly that there are some changes on the accent and it actually follow more to the traditional style, let's call it that way. Because obviously when we started to see artists like Aventura or later Romeo Santos, Prince Royce, artists that made the music very popular, the style as well kind of like at some point used that song as well, those music, to try to adapt it to what it was coming new for in terms of the music.
Yeah.
But we use the traditional music as well for that. It has like I could say that from our experience, the Pacheco style kind of like a go to the a little bit to the moderna music and a little bit more to the traditional. So it can be swinging between both. It will depend of the artist, the feeling, how you actually doing the movements.
And how you interpret obviously the music with the steps that we have on inside of the style.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. I'm thinking for myself now, actually. Who cares about the audience? This is education for me. So let's say I am a sensual bachata dancer and I go to your class. Let's say I have no interest in dancing Pacheco style.
Okay.
But can I take some things from that style and incorporate in my dancing, in my style of dancing?
The hip move, for example.
The hip movements.
Yeah, the hip movement. So in Pacheco style, we call it maraca.
Maraca. You like the instruments?
Yes. And it's the way how we move the hips. Yes. So
it has that flavor.
She has something to move as well. Like when she moves the hips, it's like what? It is like magic. Sorry, you were saying.
So yes, the hip move, it can be because obviously for us the sensuality is more about the hips. Okay, so for girls we move a lot of the hip, and obviously when we dance with our partner, they move with us. It's not like we are just moving it there. What do you think? Maybe for the
it depends of what let's say the part of the sensual bachata that takes from the traditional side or the Dominican side of the basics and footwork. There are a few things that we could obviously apply, but the pattern and the structure and everything is totally different. So it's kind of like a difficult to fuse them, especially because of the way how we transfer the weight is a lot different from the way how the sensual bachata transfer the weight, as well as the balance, counterbalance,
Sure.
foot position, leg positions, body connection. So it's different. So it's kind of like I don't know.
Hips it is.
Yeah,
Yes, hips.
Yeah, what
Yes.
we say
Styling
hips.
elements.
Yeah,
right?
some styling
Styling
elements. Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
so if you would want to basically say a couple of sentences to the people who never tried it, but you would like them to try, what is that you would say to them? What would you say to draw them in and say, do it?
The thing is, for example, for the Pacheco style, from my experience, at first I was like, who is this? What is this? Who is creating this? It was more trying without having any expectation.
That's a good one.
It's a different flow.
Yes.
Different flow.
Totally different flow. Because if you go to try Pacheco classes with an expectation, it's going to be this and that and that, probably we're not going to meet your expectation, or we're going to meet your expectation in different way, okay? But for me, it's that. No expectation, because it's totally different flow, energy-wise as well. What we try to put in our classes, a lot of energy, connection with the music. So, yeah, for me, that.
I like that.
Basically, it's try. You will never know.
Come with an open
yes,
mind.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you
try.
never know until you try.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, because if nowadays we see that the bachata scenario is expanding into different things, different ramifications. Let's say some of those ones have been criticized a lot because there are some things that are missed, or they are not there to actually be part of the, let's say, the bachata framework, if we can say it that way. Because the styles, there will be different styles everywhere, as well as the music will be different as well, because at the end of the day, what we dance is the music, right?
Sure.
And then what I would say to people is just try this way of our interpretation of the music that we're actually listening at the moment. And the body movement, the connection with the partner, the fun that we can have is kind of like an addition for if you want to actually try all the styles, so you can see when you try it, you will say like okay, this is something different. It looks a lot easier because we actually make it very approachable and easier. But when you study the style, you say like, yeah, this is definitely something that I would like to do it. And we have found people that had that experience, and they say, yes, I wanna do it. I wanna keep doing it. I wanna keep learning it.
Yeah, we have that experience sometimes in festivals when, organizers at Pacheco style, people come like, what is this? We don't know. And then they go out of the class like, wow, this is so different. I can feel it. I like it. I want to learn more. So yes, just try. No expectation. Come and see us.
Now, since you brought it up, what are your thoughts about sensual bachata?
Yeah.
Yay or nay?
We have like a similar. I'm going to talk in my personal perspective, although Carol has her own thoughts about the sensual. I got my own thoughts, but in terms of Raul and Carol, we have all the thoughts as well. Yeah. The sensual bachata helped in the dance scene to people to get to know what was bachata, right? In Europe, especially. Okay. From what I know in my experience, I never studied sensual bachata. I actually, when we arrived to the UK, we were like, hold on a minute, why do they dance in this way? If the music is telling me something different,
yes.
And as Carol mentioned in the beginning, we are very musical. We need to go with what the music is actually showing us or trying to tell us. And then when the basics, the roots, the essence of the bachata is there, it's beautiful to see it. It's beautiful to watch it. When it goes away from there and it goes from the actual music to something else, that is where we say like, no, hold on a minute.
Whoa.
Yeah, hold on. No, now I think it's going a little bit too much. And it's not about evolution, because you can evolve like music evolves as well. but you can still keep the same essence and the same particular steps and flavor, because the same happens with the evolution of the Pacheco style. So the way how people used to dance in Venezuela is a lot different, not a lot different, but it's different how we actually show to the world in the Europe, because we clean so Edwin, who is the developer, when he started his first Bachata Pacheco course, he called it like that, Bachata Pacheco course, and I'm going to explain later when we go back to the Bachata Pacheco in that particular name, because it was his first course. And then there is when he actually started to clean the steps, to like make a structure and develop. And we were there. We were like how do you call the ratón de laboratorio? How do you call that?
Like a rat in a rubber.
Yeah, we were
you were the rats.
Yeah, we were the
yeah.
And because it was people who were dancing from another styles. I was coming as well from Cuba, Carol from Cuba. We end up not having our Cuban group, which we perform and we travel and everything. And we were like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? So we started to do Pacheco. But then going back to the sensual. So if you have the essence, and you can demonstrate that there is actually bachata in there, beautiful. We love when people actually perform it very nicely. Whether that will apply for the whole dance scene, I don't know, because in the social side, I find that people can struggle to actually dance it socially. And sometimes when I see in just standing, watching what everybody's doing on the stage and in the social, and I can see movement like it's like a chain, repetition,
yes,
repetition, and then I listen to the music, but I say, hold on a minute, but the music is telling you something different. So yeah.
Do you think the same?
Yes, I mean, in a good way.
You move really nicely. Remember, we had a sensual bachata. I think it was in Danza Bonita last year.
Oh, yeah.
I think I liked you. You're very smooth.
I mean, it's not that I don't like it. I do not feel identified with the style.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sure.
You need to like. Not everyone will like all the styles, and
Sure.
I appreciate that, and I understand. But when it's, as Raul said, when it's not kind of the root of the bachata, for me, it's quite difficult to follow. And the other way is when I'm dancing with someone that maybe they don't dance Dominican and they just dance sensual, and the music is going to Dominican and they try to do wave and stuff, my body is asking something else. So that's why it's quite hard for me sometimes to keep with the sensual move, because I don't feel that it's matching with the music. I mean, it's nice that now in the dances is recognized the bachata, but I believe that we need to keep the roots, which is very important.
So coming into slightly different lane, congresses. So you're booked to many different congresses, many different events. Do you have a favorite one where you feel like, all stars align and everything is just good? You paid nice, there's always a good vibe, you feel like it's well organized, and you always feel happy to come back. Is there an event, one or two events that you could maybe even say out loud what it is, that you would say, people, we enjoy being there?
That's a tricky question, because I know you mentioned about payment and lineups and stuff, but we see events in two particular ways, because there are a couple of events that we actually go to enjoy, right? That we go, they receive us like an artist, and when we mention, I would like to go there and actually just be another student, because another thing that I always suggest to everybody is you need to be learning forever.
Yes.
You never hit the roof with anything in terms of the art.
Sure.
So in art, you need to keep going, learning. So we sometimes take congresses for learning, because we see the lineup and we say, wow, I want to be there. I want to share with them. I want to meet them. I want to know how they are as a people as well, personal and stuff. And there are a couple of events that we kind of like. One of them would be the Dominican Swang, that is from Samir Mágico. This Dominican vibe.
Yeah, it's gonna depend of the style as well.
Of course.
Very Latino vibe.
Yes.
Very Latino vibe. It's very those festivals that has the Latino vibe. We will love the craziness, the lineups, the life itself of the festival, more than the actual lessons and the formality of the shows and everything. Okay, so it would be unfair if we name two, because we have had so many where we have been working that it will depend of the moment, I would say.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That was like the most political answer
No,
ever.
because
I mean, we have our Dominican Pacheco, because there is growing as well, the Dominican Pacheco.
Let's say night.
Let's say
like
night.
A mini festival,
like a mini festival, mini weekend. Is growing in Madrid. That is pure Venezuelan vibe. Obviously, we love because of that. For me as well, in terms of, let's say, salsa. Recently, we went to, it was where? In Birmingham? In Birmingham, Mid Salsa Fest, which we love it because it was pure Cuban salsa and the lineup was absolutely amazing. We have festivals. I'm not going to be that polite. Okay.
I can see he's going sweat is now suddenly start going down
because
his forehead.
normally it's me who get in trouble because I frowns, but I try to control myself like being polite.
The sophisticated one today. Yes.
I mean, we have ABCD, Duke, and the New Year's Eve with Mauricio, Latin Motion, which we love because we know the artists, it's kind of family, all of that. Yes. And we enjoy it. The lineups are very good, so we can spend time as well learning, but
sometimes it's who's there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When you're working, you're actually having a good time, not necessarily because of the Congress.
Yes.
It's because who's there.
Exactly.
And it's the people you like and you end up having a good time together, and that becomes the experience, and you kind of even ignore some of the stuff that might not be good.
Exactly.
You're like, but I had a great time, even though everything was falling apart.
Exactly. You know?
Yes. There is a dance holiday that we do as well, that we have so much fun. And we enjoy with the people love us. Oof. And it's traveling in this case, to Crete, and before was Mallorca with Viva
Astra
holidays. And like I said, so it would depend of the moment of the festival, and it would be depending on whether we're going for enjoying it, or we go to work. Because when we go to work, then we can say a few things that we don't like this, we don't like that, because of the experiences we had as an artist. And however, I always feel like regardless what happens on festivals, that on the background that you don't say, because there are many things that could happen that you don't say, the main outcome is to make people happy in that moment. And when you see people smiling, and when you see people that say, what a class, that was crazy, guys. That was
like you've done your job.
You say, okay, I'm done with my job.
Okay. So talking about the horrible things that happen, what are the worst things that have happened to you? I'm happy to tell me, I've been through it all. So I'm, I talk in my YouTube channel, all kinds of things, not being paid when you say you're being paid. Said that you're going to do 2 classes, but suddenly you end up teaching 5 or 6. Saying you have a room on your own and suddenly you're sharing with somebody. I always say about this one time when I was told I'm going to be on my own, and then apparently I was sharing and there's no more rooms available or whatever.
Well, we are lucky because we are too.
But the woman I was sharing with, she was violently ill once.
Oh.
Like violently puking, temperature, I mean, you name it. And I was thinking, I have 3 other congresses, one after another. And I was looking at her and thinking, if you give this to me, I will never ever forgive you. But it's not her fault.
Of course,
But
yeah.
the promoter, is just completely saving money, and just tricked me or whatever.
Yeah.
So, what are your experiences? If you could name one or two.
I would say the experience, but not the event.
Yes, of course.
And just to don't, being professional in this case. So I like to when we
Yes,
are
in this case, you need to be polite.
Yes,
Please.
when we are no in the case no, because we kind of like yes, we felt affected by the situation, but I don't think so would be worthy to expose in that way, because people that actually attend to the event, they don't know that actually happened.
Yes.
And that will
Yes.
mess up with the scenario, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't
if
think
it's something
a
that
good
we
thing
can
to-
sort out in between the organization and
Of
ourselves,
course.
we sort it and that's it. So if you
Okay.
can just say, no, sorry, I'm not working with you anymore, and that's it.
No, I agree with you. And also naming somebody, like telling somebody's name, is like a last resort. It's
Exactly.
only if you feel like people will benefit from it, knowing it. Like
Yeah.
if you're protecting people from
Exactly.
that person,
Exactly.
right? But otherwise, it's between you and that person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Is other people have to have their own experiences, and maybe other people have great experiences.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't know.
We always respect in general artists,
Mm.
whether you're local or you are international. We know what we do, and with experience that every time that we do events, we improve. So we give ourselves the same value as artists as an international. But in one of these events, so being a local artist and being treated different than the rest of the artists, that make us very upset, and the experience was basically something simple that you don't ask for, is common sense. Okay, where's the food? Where are we gonna eat?
Yeah.
What are we gonna eat?
Yeah.
Oh no, you're not having the food. I say, why? No, because you're local artist, you can go to the shop and you can buy with £10 a sandwich.
Yeah, give me a £10.
And I said, no, but hold on a minute, but I'm working for whichever lessons I'm doing, right? And I'm in the event, I'm in the same hotel. So why would you send me to the local? If you send me to a local restaurant, happy. Yeah. But you're just telling me, no, you sort yourself out your food when you put
It's not covered.
when you put on the room international, no, in the restaurants of the hotel, international artists to them to eat.
Yeah.
They even were feeling really bad.
The international were
Of
like,
course,
why?
yeah, of
Because they
course.
say, go, come
Because
with
they're
me.
normal
We're
human
gonna
beings.
we're gonna
Exactly.
chat. We're gonna have a nice time. Come with me. And we say, no, we can't. Why? Because we haven't got food.
We're going to a shop.
And he said, no. He said, the international artist said, no, hold on a minute. Went, complained, and in the end, we had to sort out the food for everybody. But for us, was like, no, sorry, we don't work that way.
Yeah.
We don't work that way.
And that's the thing. Is like, what the promoters don't understand is that yes, you are paid to do a job, but what kind of job do you want me to do?
Exactly.
Like, what kind of job? We are, in the 21st century, and it's not that expensive actually to find ways to feed your artists.
Yeah.
You don't need to book a restaurant. We know some places where they have their mother cooking, and they bring the containers or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And, everybody does whatever they need to do. All we need is food.
Yeah.
Something that is eatable that we could refuel so we could give more energy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all.
Yeah.
Or at least then in advance, when you're booking me, give me the list of the criteria.
Yeah.
So I'm paying you for these classes. You're going to be staying here. The food is not included. Are you okay with that? And then you can make your decisions.
Yeah.
But don't just, here you are, arrived, and everybody's eating, and sorry, but you local artists, so go to a local shop.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah. That was
Shame
not
on them.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, now that you mentioned that, like, for example, we know that when we do agree a contract with people, we know that there are some things that are actually being paid clearly, clarified, like the lessons, and you're doing lessons, you're doing shows, so this is what we're paying you for. There are some other things that we feel like that shouldn't be paid, but the organization should appreciate that.
Yes, exactly.
We are very party vibe.
Exactly.
And we stay until the very end.
Yes.
So I would love if you as organizer, you give me a lesson that is not too early, right? Not because of the lesson. It's because you saw me that I finished the party, right? And then you want me to just half asleep.
You know why?
And then start.
You know why they do it? And I know why. Because it happens to me all the time. I'm usually with them, standing, dancing with every single person, any style, you name it. And it's always 10 o'clock in the morning class because they know I will be there.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that as well. Yeah.
Yes.
We are responsible.
You work so hard to build a reputation. And that's why.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
And obviously, when you have that type of activity, so you are expected to eat, like you can eat, you can have some drinks. Sometimes you teaching and you are thirsty and you're looking around to see where is the water, please.
Yes.
Oh, come on, you're gonna give me just a 3-pound bottle of water. I need just that. So we are very flexible. We're not diva. Although we know in the scenario there is people who request for more stuff, let's say. Like, I don't know, if put me in separate beds, put me in separate rooms, put me, give me, I need to just dance a couple of hours. You need to pay me for that.
Yes.
Sorry, the social is kind of like your personal part of the event, So you want me to pay you for talking to people? No, you talk to people because if you feel like you want to talk and you are nice to people, truly, no me obligating you to, oh, you know what, let's go. You need to be in the hall for the whole night and you need to chat with people. No, you do that because you like it. We stay until the very end because we love it. We love it. We love the party vibe. And when this is a vibe, we'll be there. And then,
but this is why they take advantage. You know what I mean? These people who start making these stupid demands, a lot of the times it's not because they wanted to, it's because they've been burned so many times. It's like, I am there dancing every night and it's my choice. But when you start taking advantage of my good nature, I will put in the contract for you so you would know that I'm only going to be there 2 hours.
Yes.
Because now I don't feel like going there anymore because if you can't give me even food, or like you start, taking advantages of my good nature, asking me favors, paying me 3 months later or whatever, then you will have in a contract that will say, I'll be on the dance floor for an hour. And if I'm in a good mood, I'll be more.
Exactly.
But it's like, this is why it ruins people who naturally are inclined to give less. Right?
It makes sense. Do
you have contracts in general? Or do you have contracts like maybe for some but not for others?
Yes.
It always depends of the approaching of the organization as well.
Yes, as well.
You want to...
Normally, if it's an event that we're going frequently, we don't do contracts anymore, to be honest. But if it's people that we don't know, we prefer to put everything, in writing to clarify and to be safe.
And are you paid enough? Is this your only job or do you have other jobs as well?
No,
what are your other jobs?
I am accountant.
I need you, madam.
I knew you would say that.
Hide the money.
That's why he's still here with money, And what do you?
I'm a school teacher. I teach in secondary school music.
Oh my God.
Because I am a musician as well. So...
accountant, school teacher.
This is what we used to do in Venezuela, and we were lucky enough to actually arrive in a country that has it's not your language, it's not your culture.
Yes.
And the first 2-3 years were awful, horrible.
Yes.
I don't remember even the weather like this, like it's today. It's amazing day. We were getting fat, not dancing. Very different lifestyle, I would say, because people make the choices on their lifestyle, what they want. And then we said, well, our main goal was, okay, if we can, we take over our careers again so we can do our thing. And then because I was always teaching in Venezuela music, okay, not dancing, music. I said, well, I'm going to have to do everything I need to do for getting back to teaching. And then I do all the process of even doing a post degree in a university, everything. Carol did exactly the same, but with accountancy.
Yeah.
And we managed from after 3 years and a half or 4 years working in factories, we managed to get into our careers again.
Like the story, if you think about it, when people talk about the stories that people like go from, very difficult circumstances into something that they can be proud of.
Wow. Yes.
Right?
Yes. We land with €1 to Europe.
Yes,
in the
actually.
pocket. Literally, we got that euro, that coin euro, we got it at home.
It's €2.
€2. Well,
yeah, because it's the big one, no?
Yeah.
It's the big.
The big one, €2. Because
that's it. That's what we had.
Yeah, we arrived like that. We have a couple of people that help us when we arrived, but in the end we realized that they were taking advantage of the help. So it was not truly help. So we moved away, and once we moved away, our life was escalating positions very nicely. Although now you got peaks, when you love your job, and sometimes you don't like it too much, and then
but you have a job. Right? And that's the thing. You have a job. You actually made something out of yourself, and you end up rediscovering dance, and you're leading, people in UK. Everybody knows who you are. Everybody's booking you. So you actually end up still doing this thing that you love, known for that, and have your careers and do those things too.
It's actually, for example, for me, it's a very good balance, because during the day, I'm all the time sitting on the computer doing stuff. And then in the afternoons, we do private classes, weekend festivals, parties, and it's like totally different.
You have a good mix.
So
and we realized as well that we were also, grateful, because with the decisions that we made and we were working already, that we were not full-time teachers of dancing or dancers full-time, because when COVID came, we saw a lot of people were struggling clearly for that situation, global situation, and affects their pockets a lot. So we say like a few. It was good that we were not dancing only.
The things I've done for a little bit of money during COVID. Some will remain unnamed.
Okay.
Yes.
All I can say, a lot of people like my feet. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I have a fun game for you guys.
Okay.
So before we finish this off, I want to do a fun game. It's a rapid question situation. Okay. So I'm going to say this or that, and you have to answer. You're going to go first, you're going to go second. Okay. You cannot think.
Okay.
Yes, no thinking.
Okay.
If you last longer than 5 seconds, it's a penalty. I don't know what kind of penalty, but maybe it's going to be defeat again. I don't know. It's basically a rapid question.
Okay.
Okay? It's only few, but it's something I was interested in.
Okay.
Okay? You ready?
Okay.
You go, and then immediately you go without thinking.
Okay, so you ask her first.
And you immediately respond.
And after she responds, I respond. Okay.
Ay.
Dancing or teaching?
Teaching.
Both.
Dancing or teaching?
Oh, dancing or teaching. Oh, sorry, teaching.
Okay. Of course, we would say both. That's why it's
sorry.
So that some of it will not make sense. Okay. Technique or connection?
Connection.
Technique.
Interesting. Romantic or fun?
Fun.
Romantic, maybe.
Romantic? It's not true.
Slow or fast?
Slow.
Fast.
Depends.
Maybe.
I meant the dancing.
Okay.
Less style or more style?
More style.
More style.
Sexy or conservative?
Sexy.
Sexy.
Dancing indoors or outdoors?
In UK, indoors.
In general.
Indoors.
Indoors.
Yeah, indoors.
Sensual bachata or no dancing at all? If you could only dance for the rest of your life, sensual bachata, the Zuki sensual bachata,
Oh, God.
no
Okay.
rules whatsoever.
Okay.
Or no dancing
No
at
dance at all.
If it's no dance at all.
Rough or noodles? So rough dancing, or the one that is like a noodle, you feel nothing.
Noodles.
Noodles?
Noodles, yeah.
Noodles, okay. And last one, direct or kind?
Kind.
Direct.
Well, I'm very direct. I don't know where I said kind.
Yeah. She said my answer. She's stolen my answer. That was my answer. And we don't know about that because that was a surprise. And I don't know, in my brain, when she said kind, I was like, come on. You stole my answer. Because she's more direct.
The camera is on, so
Yeah.
she's a different person.
Yeah. She's more direct. Yeah.
He's zero. Well, we are zero romantic.
Yeah.
I think it's romantic that you guys are actually together for such a long time. I think that is romantic already. Everybody's breaking up all the time. And I think when I see a couple who is honest with each other, respects each other, and actually can have fun together and stay together, I think it's just a beautiful thing. And that's the most romantic thing ever. When I look at you, I feel romance.
Although some people in festivals, in parties and everywhere, they don't think that we are even together, like a proper couple.
Because you're not attached to one another.
Exactly.
We know, like all night. And when we are in festivals, I sometimes I like to go to other rooms. She likes as well to go to salsa, depending what's the music going on in bachata. Sometimes there are festivals that we don't spend even half of the night in the bachata room because we go like this, and then we return. Oh no, again, come on, please, the same music, and then you go, come on, please, again. And then we go to salsa, Cuban salsa, or crossbody, or sometimes even kizomba stuff as
Sometimes
well.
we find each other.
Like
just on the
hello. How are you? How you been? Yeah, okay. I'm continuing. And they were like, in many ways, so some people just discover, but you actually a couple. You say, yeah, we are a couple.
Yeah,
but you don't look like a couple.
That they are married only 1 year. There you have it.
No.
But guys, I personally think you're wonderful.
No,
Thank you so much
for having us.
I just really, guys, whoever is listening to us or whoever is watching us, I just want to say that first, I really wanted to do this podcast because they dance a unique style that is still with the roots of Dominican bachata, but it's a very unique style. And I really want people in general to open their minds. Now, especially, I see a lot of sensual bachata, zouk bachata. This is developing more and more in other ways rather than into the roots way it's developing. And it's not, I dance, as you guys know, and I talk about it all the time. I dance it all. I love even the remix style, but I don't think I'm dancing bachata. I'm truthful to myself. I enjoy dancing that, but I know it's not bachata. I wouldn't be teaching that and saying that's bachata. So I just enjoy dancing it. But I think it's important for us to educate, like you said before. The education never ends. And I think it's always nice to be exposed to other styles, to other dances. And you pick for yourself what works or not. But it's good to allow yourself to know what's going on around you. And also, when they are so beautiful and lovely as people, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we could, it was, try to resume everything, because it's a lot of things to say, either on the like a nice side of the dance scene and in the not very nice side, but we always try to focus on the positives, because that's how we learn actually to carry on in a different country and to obviously missing home so much, but you manage to get your life through many things. And how we met and how we actually learned how to dance and everything, the way how that process took us to teach the Pacheco is part of the passion why we actually do it, why we teach Pacheco, why we like to show to people the style, why we think is, well, hopefully, is another bachata of the future. Yeah, like for the future dances, for people who, new generations who will like to still hear the music of bachata, still feel that.
I think about you guys, you are like the balance, because we're going so far the other way. Having you do what you do is like a balance. Do you know what I mean? The pendulum is swinging. So we have a bit more influence of this. And then while this is happening, there's other voices out there.
Yeah.
So if just the people sometimes don't hear those other voices, right? But as long as they hear it, then the balance is still there. If the voice like yours gets a bit more quiet, then we feel like we are overwhelmed with just that other side.
Of course.
Yeah. If we get a kind of like we could do a podcast only talking about the style, because there is so much to say about the style, about the history, how it was developed, how we were part of the first generation of Pachequeros, how we call it, from the very beginning, from Venezuela. In Europe, there are just Edwin, who is with his couple Mariana in Italy, Raul and Carol in the UK. There is one girl in Madrid called Fran Kelly's doing the Pacheco style, and we're trying to kind of like put in Madrid and expand it from there. So hopefully from there it's gonna go.
We can do, so let's call this podcast as an introduction. But then we could do the part two where we go deeper into the style itself and we play more games.
Yes, I like it. I like the games.
Good, guys. Now, I'm going to leave you all with all of the details. If you're watching on YouTube, it's going to be in the description down below from where you can find them, whether it's Instagram, whether it's other platforms. And guys, I'm going to also, for those who are watching on YouTube, leave you here with these two dancing so that you could actually not just hear about it, but visually understand what the Pacheco style is like. So now enjoy the video of them dancing. And guys, part two.
Part two, definitely. Yeah. Like,
guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.